Major shift in political dynamics of the Big Hat State. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori defects to All Progressives Congress. Katsina State Government announces allocation of 30% of annual budget to building climate-resilient infrastructure. An NTA correspondent gives update on ECOWAS Council of Ministers meeting in Accra as smooth withdrawal of 3 Sahelian countries tabled down. Hello and welcome to the news desk at 6 on NTA News 24. We are reaching you live from Abuja. I am Chinenye Ngoyi. Let's start by telling you that Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborevwori and other People's Democratic Party PDP stakeholders in the state have defected to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. This was disclosed by the State Commissioner for Works, Rural Roads and Public Information, Charles Aniagu, after a closed-door meeting of stakeholders in Government House, Asaba. Susan Esu reports.
The Government House was flooded with past and present National Assembly members, House of Assembly, local government chairmen, and other stakeholders of the PDP in Delta State for a closed-door meeting which lasted for close to 6 hours. Press men waited anxiously to be briefed. Then came the much-anticipated news that Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has shifted grounds politically after months of consultations.
It is said that when the taste of the palm wine changes, the drinking pattern also changes. And the leaders of the party, in the course of the consultation, were unanimous in their view that the political temperature have changed, the taste of the palm wine in this instance have also changed, and there was a need for us to adjust the drinking pattern. And in adjusting that drinking pattern, we needed to take a decision that will further help to cement the development in our state, to build the bond of love that have existed in our state, to further advance the cause of security and welfare of our people, and to a very large extent, ensure that development in Delta, because every politics is local, is not truncated. And in taking that decision, we came to the inevitable conclusion that moving out of the PDP is very, very necessary for us to be able to collaborate with our kith and kin and build that state that every Delta will be proud of.
Pioneer member of the PDP in the state, Senator James Manager, also added that the move is as a result of the internal wranglings in the People's Democratic Party. As at the time of filing this report, the PDP flag in Government House was still flying. Official declaration to this effect is scheduled for Monday, April 28, 2025. From Government House, Asaba. Susan Esu, NTA News.
From the ECOWAS sub-region, ECOWAS Council of Ministers emergency meeting is underway in Accra, Ghana to ensure a smooth transition of the withdrawal of the 3 Sahelian countries as a contingency plan for the regional bloc. Garba Natala is standing by for an update on strategies put in place by the ministers of the West Africa sub-region.
Thank you for joining us here in Accra, Ghana. A lot is actually happening, and the ECOWAS Council of Ministers is just a fallout of the 66th ordinary session of the Council of Ministers that was held recently, where President Tinubu instructed them to provide and work out modalities on the withdrawal of the 3 Sahelian states, that is Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. And so far they have been compelled to suspend some of the ongoing programs that are currently going on in those Sahelian countries. Actually, one of the key projects that they have achieved in Burkina Faso especially is the West African Health Organization known as WAHU. There is also the sports center in Burkina Faso. In Mali, there is an animal center, an animal health center also. So they are now considering the suspension of various programs in line with those organizations. They're also considering suspending the free movement protocol between ECOWAS and those three Sahaelian states. The issue of disengagement of staff in those countries, which the leaders here say they are compelled to do so. It is not their wish, but rather the wish of the decision of the three Sahaelian states. There is also many and variety of economic development programs and projects going on with those three Sahaelian states, which they are compelled to suspend. It's against their wish, it's against their will, but they have to succumb to what the three Sahaelian states actually want and they are asking. And they are actualizing it now. After they have finished discussions, they are expected to bring out a memoranda which they will submit before their principals. And we, the journalists, are also expecting to hear from them on what resolutions they have taken in order to absorb the shocks of the separation between ECOWAS and the three Sahaelian states. For now, they are in discussion. I wouldn't want to preempt what they are doing. It's better the leaders inform us on what they have ruled out and the kind of economic development they have streamlined in order to forge ahead, and they believe the regional bloc will emerge stronger. That is it for now from here. And all these adjustments, according to the leaders, is to ensure that they stick to the current realities of what is happening. They have to make all these adjustments in order to forge ahead and emerge stronger.
Many thanks, Gary Banatala, for that update. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning Abubakar Bagudu says the newly formed Presidential Committee on Population and Housing Census, an ad hoc technical body, is committed to its task to identifying funding sources and ensuring proper planning for the upcoming enumeration of Nigerians. Following its inauguration last week, Bagudu highlights the team's primary assignment to provide informed guidance on financing strategies, institutional coordination, and practical timelines for the census. He emphasized that National Population Commission work is to plan, coordinate, and conduct population and housing censuses in the country, having established a strong foundation. The minister expects members to fulfill their responsibilities.
The committee's role is to advise strictly within its terms of reference, which are 1. Conduct a thorough review of the existing census budget to align it with current fiscal realities and national priorities. 2. Recommend feasible sources of funding for the census, clearly distinguishing between domestic resources and external partnerships. 3. Develop a comprehensive resource mobilization strategy, taking into consideration engagement with potential development partners, international agencies, and domestic private sector entities. 4. Assess existing preparations, logistics, and technical capacities of the National Population Commission and recommend areas requiring immediate strengthening. This no doubt include any other government agency that can be of assistance to the
Bagudu chairs the committee with the MPC chairman Nasiru Kwara as secretary, alongside members including the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Luwale Edun, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, the Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue, Dr. Zak Adedeji. The Nigeria Customs Service has announced a total revenue generation of 1.75 trillion naira for the first quarter of 2025. This reflects a 29.96% increase compared to the same period in 2024. Comptroller General of the Service, Adewale Adeniyi, disclosed this while giving an update of the activities of the service in 2025. The revenue performance for the first quarter of the year exceeds its target of 1.64 trillion naira by 106.5 billion naira. He attributed the success to the impact of ongoing reforms introduced by the federal government.
And I'm pleased to report the services revenue collection for the first quarter 2025 totaled 1,751,252,298 naira 5 kobo.
To sustain some of its programs, like the recent expansion of the Biodogu clearance platform and launch of the Authorized Economic Operators AEO, which he emphasized have aided trade facilitation, with plans to extend the initiatives to other parts of the country. The process for the commencement of commercial flight operations at the Gateway Agro-Cargo International Airport has begun with the official visit of officials of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency who carried out validation of facilities at the airport. Hakim Jimo reports.
The flight check by senior personnel of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency was to evaluate facilities at the airport to ensure it conforms with the proposed procedure defined for the airport in line with international best practice. The team leader, Miri Selzing, who commended the Ogun State government for the laudable project, says he is impressed with the state of facilities at the airport.
We have seen the procedure that are drawn. We've checked it on the air, and then we'll analyze when we get back to our base, and then we'll be able to come up with recommendations for modifications where necessary. About 4 kilometers runway, that's quite interesting.
The Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure in Ogun State, Ade Akinsoya, is optimistic that the airport will soon be ready for commercial operations.
This is one of the last elements of things we need to do to get the commercial approval. They've gone through what is called the 23 and the 05, checking, identify all the key, what is known as the waypoints along the way. So once the flight check everything, this will be developed and put on the internet for anybody who wants to come from anywhere in the world.
For the Commissioner of Works, the airport, which is 97% completed, has ultra-modern state-of-the-art facilities at the control tower, terminal building, firefighting section, among others. From Elishan Remo in Ogun State, Hakim Jimo, NTA News.
The Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, Petroan, congratulates the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, on its recent milestone of licensing 83 refineries with a combined total refining capacity of 1,124,500. The breakdown of the licenses includes 8 refineries with licenses to operate, 30 refineries with licenses to construct, 45 refineries with license to establish. Speaking in Abuja, the national president of Petroan, Dr. Billy Gillis-Harry, emphasized the importance of making crude oil available for local refineries. Dr. Harry says making crude oil available for local refineries will increase domestic production of petroleum products, thereby reducing reliance on imported products and conserving foreign exchange. The statement, signed by Dr. Joseph Obele, National Public Relations Officer of Petroan, says other advantages include creation of jobs and stimulation of the economy. He noted that it will also lead to growth, as local refineries would be able to operate at optimal capacity and contribute significantly to Nigeria's GDP. The statement says significant decline in petrol imports from 44.6 million litres per day in August 2024 to 14.7 million litres per day by April 13, 2025 is a testament to the success of this initiative. This is the News Desk at 6 on NTA News 24. We'll take a break here. There will be more reports when we return. Do stay.
Baffy Furniture Easter Sales is on. Enjoy unbeatable furniture deals with up to 50% off on our luxurious Turkish sofas starting from just 2.8 million naira. Get a smart bed for only 7 million naira plus 25% off our luxury collections. That's not all. Enjoy free delivery and installation in Abuja, Lagos, Enugu, and Kano. Visit any of our showrooms or shop online to take advantage of these incredible offers.
Many thanks for staying on. Governor of Katsina State, Diko Umaru Grada, has announced a allocation of 30% of the state's annual budget to building climate-resilient infrastructure. This was during the launch of Katsina State Green Growth Agenda in Abuja, dedicated to combat devastating effects of climate change in Katsina State. Ekene Ndulue reports.
Katsina State, situated in Nigeria's climate-vulnerable northwest region, is faced with threats from desertification, erratic rainfall, and land degradation. The governor is convinced that these climate challenges can be turned to opportunities and has brought together stakeholders in this hall to discuss climate action plans to develop his state. The Katsina State Green Growth Agenda details the governor's plans to introduce climate-smart agriculture and harness renewable energy to become Nigeria's solar powerhouse.
4,500 farmers will be trained in sustainable practices. By 2027, we aim to establish 2,000 climate resilience farming cooperatives in the state. We plan to electrify 500 rural communities with solar mini-grids by 2030, inshallah.
The event was an invitation to investors to partner with the state in achieving this agenda, a request they consider timely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite all partners, investors, and stakeholders present here to see this summit as not as a one-off event, but as the beginning of a demonstrative journey, a journey that positions Katsina State as a beacon of sustainability in Nigeria, and a model of how subnational leadership can drive global change.
The deliberateness of identifying and promoting those opportunities is a key success point. And in that wise, one must commend the innovativeness and the step taken by Katsina State government.
Katsina State government is also driving its climate awareness campaign to the younger generations and has rewarded 4 winners of the Katsina State Salah Climate Change School Competition with cash prizes of 500,000 naira each. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
Experts in construction have continued to recommend urgent reforms, stiffer penalties to defaulters on compliance with building codes, and clamping down on quackery in the profession as necessary prevention strategies to significantly reduce the risk of collapse in Nigeria. This was while speaking on NTA's program, Good Morning Nigeria. They also insist that building collapse is a national emergency that requires a coordinated approach to address. Olusheye Adeabo reports.
While there are incidents of building collapse in Nigeria, official records show that only 8 has been recorded this year. For Niemant Mule, Chairman, Nigerian Society of Engineers, Lagos State, she links the recent collapse in the state to building stress.
We need to have a robust monitoring system where we will have a database. Building, when it was constructed, they are designed like some buildings are designed to last for 50 years, some are 100, and that's why we see some buildings that are being renovated, and that was the case of collapse that happened over the weekend. It's an old building.
And from all the various cases we have studied, we discovered that at any of these stages, building can collapse. The recommendations cut across almost every profession and every sector. The one that concerns bringing out specialists that takes care of approval of building plan, it's left for the government to know who to be given that responsibility of approving the building plan. For us, we have brought out a recommendation.
Other guests on the program explained that limited monitoring of the construction value chain is an anomaly that must be checked.
When you have a developer who goes and obtains substandard materials, who goes and hire a quack, who goes and, all these things, like we are saying, who is culpable? The culpability now is on this, and the law does not give us the powers to deal with them. So,
because you are a registered engineer, you have something at stake in case there is any building collapse. Your certificate will be withdrawn, and that means that is the end of your professional life.
The guests unanimously agreed that input of professionals into designs and eventually construction of buildings must be mandatory. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
The Commandant General of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Ahmed Abubakar Audi, has ordered the immediate detention of officers allegedly involved in an extortion case currently circulating on the social media. This follows the directive of the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, who called for a swift and thorough investigation into the viral report, alleging that NSCDC personnel extorted 5.2 million naira from a young man traveling from Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State, to Akure, Ondo State. In a statement issued by the Corps' national spokesperson, Babawale Afolabi, the Commandant General condemned the conduct of the officers, describing their actions as a gross violation of the Corps Code of Ethics and Standard Operating Procedures. Consequently, the officers have been directed to report at the Corps' national headquarters in Abuja for detention, pending the outcome of a disciplinary investigation. The Registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, Professor Ishaq Oloide, has advised students of the African School of Economics, ASE, to place paramount value on their time and opportunities, describing them as some of the most limited and valuable resources they will ever possess. Professor Oloide said this while addressing students at the maiden matriculation ceremony of ASE held at the university's Abuja campus, where 44 pioneer students were formally admitted into various academic programs. He stressed that regardless of their course of study, every student is in practice a student of economics, since life itself revolves around managing limited resources. He urged the students to avoid distractions and poor decisions, warning that their greatest enemy would not be external factors, but the careless version of themselves.
Maximizing the utility of the limited. That is, how do you make best use of something that is limited? And most of the things we value in this world, they are limited.
ASE integrates theory with practice and combines the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains of learning to produce world citizens.
The university is impelled by the need to transform the African continent through the high-octane quality education.
I want to explore this to the best. And also there's something like finding more about yourself. Like, that's what I'm currently engaged in.
I've seen everything, planning and everything is going smooth. So I believe and I'm looking for the best.
The Emir of Ilorin and Chairman Kwara State Traditional Rulers Council, Ibrahim Sulu Gambari, has expressed his heartfelt gratitude for the fervent prayers and goodwill messages extended to him to mark his 85th birthday. The traditional ruler, in a statement by his spokesman, Abdulaziz Arona, appreciates personalities, President Bola Tinubu, Governor of Kwara State, Abdurrahman Abdurazak, members of the National Assembly, members of the State Executive Council, members of the Kwara State House of Assembly, traditional rulers, association groups, corporate organizations, heads of government, ministries, departments and agencies, local government chairmen, market men and women, and others for their prayers. He also extends his appreciation to the entire indigenes and residents of Ilorin Emirate Council. And that concludes the news desk at 6 on NTA News 24. Many thanks for watching. I am Chinenye Moyi.